Yes, so we spoke about software transformation or software-led transformation, and the changes that's going to mean in terms of the experience for customers. How do you think that's going to change the relationships, though, that manufacturers have with
Mm.
customers? Are OEMs going to have to support a deeper, longer relationships, do you think?
Yeah, I mean the transformation of the automotive industry will be mainly driven, or to a large extent driven, by a younger, technically savvy generation. So this young generation will be a significant driver in the development of more suitable and convenient mobility solution in the next few years. So, and they will definitely characterize the attitudes and the behavior for success. So there's a change of intensity for sure, and a change of ways how we communicating and engaging with the customers. So a kind of a paradigm shift on the communication side, and as well on the mobility as a service side, as consumer mobility behavior is changing. So for example, autonomous driving and shared mobility will definitely change your customer base. And therefore, the traditional car makers get forced to compete on multiple fronts, how they engage with their customers,
Yeah, yeah,
how and
yeah.
how often.
That's interesting. And do you think, are they ready for that yet? Are they set up for that type of change, that type of relationship, do you think?
That's a good question. As I mean, the new generation of car makers have built their strategy based on these software and new mobility requirements,
Yeah.
but the traditional OEMs that having their legacy in mind, they have to change and adapt quickly to step up the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's good. And so when we're thinking about this transition, how far along do you think OEMs are? Are they all at a very similar stage of change, or are some a lot further ahead than others?
Yeah, to me, there is the differentiation between the newer generation and the traditional car makers. I think the traditional car makers are more or less in the same, changing in the same pace. But the new generation, look at Tesla, whose software-centric innovation extend battery range, over the air updates, and autonomous driving features. So they definitely are in a better and well-suited position in terms of the let's say the hardware-driven car makers, which oftentimes are not in that stage right now. So they have to step up the game.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Um, and then obviously when we're thinking about what the vehicle is going to be in the future and how it's going to be changed, there's a tendency sometimes to just do piecemeal updates or improvements. Do you think OEMs are being sort of innovative enough in reimagining what a car could mean and what a car could be, a vehicle could be in the future when it's defined by software?
Hmm. I mean, I think clearly not all of them has envisioned how far this could go. I mean, I read that more than 90% of the innovation in future comes via software. So, I mean, a customer-centric vehicle, they can personalize updates over the air like a smartphone. So to catch and commercialize this next generation vehicle, they definitely have to transform not only the cars, but the way how they build cars, how they merchandise cars, and how they create value, optimize technology, and operate. And this is not piecemeal. This is a fully mind shift and transformation.
Yeah, yeah. So they are pushing that envelope.
Yeah.
And then, so finally, as they go through this change, as OEMs go through this change, are there any simple lessons they can take from existing software companies? The big hyperscalers out there, maybe your
Mm.
Googles or your Amazons or even your Apples or your Microsofts.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the organizational setup, the speed, the ability to change, and most leveraging data across departmental, putting their customer in focus and working backwards. I think on the customer centricity side and on the data and leveraging data side as their advantage, as mentioned, next to the speed and the ability to change are, I guess, one of the biggest lessons learned we can have in the automotive industry from hyperscalers like Amazon or other tech companies.
That's interesting. And do you think the new startups, the Teslas, etc., are they more able to adapt? Do they come from that background, and therefore this change is simpler for them? Or does the scale of the OEMs, does their sheer scale make it easier for their existing manufacturers?
I think that it is easier for them in terms of they build their whole company strategy on this new environment. So they are working more on scaling it and improving it versus the traditional side of the car makers. They need the strategy and the shift first coming from the product centric and then moving to the customer centric side.